Peace, love, and light. Peace, love, and light to the family out there. It's T.O. Clay, Light Bulb Lessons. Hey, I always say, man, you go back and look at any episode. Sounds like a broken record, but it's the truth. Man, I'm just blessed to have some of the greatest, best leaders that I know. And today, I got my brother, Dr. Abram, with me, man. And bruh, I'm just so happy to have you here today, man.
Honor's mine, truly.
Hey, man, the exchange is mutual, man. Because I tell you, man, like, I know you're a busy man. I know you out really doing God's work on a consistent basis. I know you taking good care of your family. And for you to be here with us on Light Bulb Lessons, man, it means a lot, bro. So,
and especially Tim doing it from from coast to coast, right?
That's right.
And you get nationwide. You're all over the place. I seen your stuff all over the place.
Well, man, I appreciate that, man. You know, it's backed in God, bro. Like I smile, man, because I know the goodness of God. I know you know the goodness of God, and man, to bring us together, you out on the West Coast, Southern Cali. I'm out here in Atlanta, man, and for us to be able to bridge that gap, man, it is powerful, man, and it's such a blessing, man. So, how you doing today, man? How you feeling?
Hey, I'm feeling great. Definitely great. Anytime I can come online and do podcasts and speak about mental health and speaking on this topic where we can mix in spirituality, mental health, veteran, intersecting identities and stuff like that. So, hey, I'm happy today. I've been looking forward to doing this for a while.
Man, that's a blessing, dog. I'm looking at the background. I see you got the Black Panther back there. I see you got the Honorable Mr. Frederick Douglass back there.
Right? No doubt. You know what?
Yes, sir.
You know what? Hey, I got my stuff. I got my Zulu warrior, right? I got all kinds of things going on out here, right? Just kind of representation.
That's it, dog.
When these students come in, their clients come in, they see my stuff that they know, hey, we're gonna be about that life. Wow.
So you're actually are you at school right now?
Yeah, actually it's funny. This is from my home office.
Okay.
Usually where I call home out here as far as my regular mental health work is that I'm one of the staff counselors at Cal State University out here in Northridge.
Yes.
California, right? So for anybody who out here watching from the West Coast. So within there, I am one of the mental health professionals, and I'm the veteran liaison and like the Black student success liaison and things like that, right? So many different roles on that campus, like on campus, to include the stuff I even do off campus. We'll get in that later on, but my main thing is, supporting college, academics, as they kind of navigate school.
Man, that's dope, dog. What does the great legendary Frederick Douglass mean to you, Dr. Abram?
Yeah, so Frederick Douglass means so much for me. I can remember when I was a young kid, growing up, like your boy Stu, when we was out growing up out in Folkestone.
Yeah, shout out to Stu Maynard. Stu Maynard, shout out.
Right?
That's right.
Hey, great guy, man, great guy.
Absolutely.
Right? So when I was a youngster, and you know how like similar to you, when we was growing up, they had that Black embracing and about Black pride. And I can remember a lot of times being introduced because, like how KRS-One and some of that self-destruction, some of that old school hip-hop music and all that. And I can remember particularly in one of our libraries seeing a picture similar to this with Frederick Douglass in his book, Autobiography of a Slave, right? And just seeing this proud Black man, something I hadn't seen before, right? Seeing that book or the, Autobiography of Malcolm X and some of this other stuff like that. Seeing these guys, but particularly after reading Frederick Douglass stuff, it always seemed like I had this connection.
Yeah, man.
With him about something about the way he posed, his speeches, his lectures, and stuff like that, right? And then he was forwarding to like 2017, 2018 timeframe when I was out there doing a residency at UNC, University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill.
That's right.
Yeah, it was an anniversary that came up about with Frederick Douglass's birthday. So they had this initiative that they was pushing out his book, and they had different events. So I was home there, but Frederick Douglass just means so much to me about this kind of pride, about poise, about kind of education and all that kind of stuff. That's what it means for me.
Yeah, man. I'm with you on that, bro, because he's the greatest orator out
Yes.
there, bro. Like, I mean, you go back and you look at some of his writing, it is absolutely amazing, man. And,
Absolutely.
I love talking to my sons about, more people than just LeBron James.
Right,
Shout
right,
out,
right.
shout out to LeBron, MJ.
Yeah,
But
yeah, no
man,
doubt.
I want them to know so much more, and not just so much more from here's who he is and here's a little blurb in the school book about him. No, I want to be able to expose them to the whole understanding, Dr. Abram. And
Mm,
they could tell you, man. I point out different pictures and who is that? Oh, that's Sojourner Truth. Who's
yeah.
that? That's Frederick Douglass. Who's that? That's Marcus Garvey, because I just want them to understand many great people before us, man, did some amazing things that kind of
Right.
bridge that gap for us, man. So
That's
how,
what I enjoy. That's what I enjoyed about it is because, especially nowadays with social media, while it has some things, one thing about it is that it's pushing out narratives, it's pushing out more information that sometimes individuals can't get, right? With
right.
school systems.
That's so true, man. I gotta ask you this, man. Like I
Yeah.
say, it's light bulb lessons, man. Shout out to everybody out there tuned in, checking us out, man. Taking your quality time to listen to these organic conversations, man. We truly do appreciate you on behalf of Dr. Abram, on
Yeah.
behalf of my right hand man, Mr. Ross Blaine.
Hey, Ross.
Yeah, shout out to Ross, man. Always, we truly appreciate y'all dialing in with us, man. And I know there's somebody out there right now that is looking, behind Dr. Abram, and they don't understand what it means for, right behind you on your graduation
Mhm.
gown. Can you kind of build on that, on
Oh, yeah.
the symbolic of that, Dr.
Yeah,
Abram?
so definitely with a lot of people who may be looking behind, you see my cap and gown, right? And
Right,
so we know from this one is the traditional one that you can wear from completing a doctoral degree, right?
that's right,
So we got the cap, particularly this hood, the blue hood that you can possibly see in the background that representing,
that's right,
when they say getting hooded, right?
that's right,
Then also you got this extra stuff where I had put the brigade with this, kind of African kind of pattern. And sometimes
yes,
you would see many of y'all who went out there and graduated or will be graduating. Hey, I love
right,
education, right?
right,
And some of the schools will have some of these different kind of tassels and things that you can put on to represent some of that culture and kind of heritage. And so
that's
for me,
right,
this is one of the things that I had liked out here, right? But we know with this cap and gown, right? With that hooding ceremony that I had did, with this other kind of stuff, that it just says about things about saying, hey, that I tried to attune for a higher education,
that's
right?
right,
That I felt like I wanted more. And that's why how we were talking about with Frederick Douglass, that thing that it put that quest, that spark
that's
for
right,
education for me. And that even when I was in the military, and I know you relate to this, is when I went into the military, I had my high school degree, but
that's
it's
right.
always I had this itch because my family members and all, especially with my mother and that had a graduate degree, right? And,
Wow,
and so I always knew I wanted to go to college.
that's
And
right,
while I went into the military, it always bugged me that I didn't go ahead and go to college. So I
right,
started doing stuff online for a little bit, but you know how young Lance Corporal, you first
yeah,
go and then you kind of go to
that's
the ways of the
that's
world.
right, that's
But then
right,
at some point when I became like a staff sergeant, I knew saying, hey, let me get myself back on track, because I have my
Ooh,
family and all
right,
these things. And, I started knowing saying, hey, I want to help people.
ooh,
Because we was right at this time, by the time I was a staff sergeant, we was kind of getting off to the cuffs of, that initial time, the Iraq war, and you had people coming back and
mhm,
about the post-traumatic stress that people were experiencing and stuff like
right,
that. And I just got real curious about that. And then I just knew like, hey, I want to do more. And so that just put me on my trajectory
yeah, man,
to go out there and start learning. But, I always put this behind me so that way also for some of the students or whoever seeing that somebody that looks like them,
that's right,
got one of these in the background. So it's more like, that representation.
that's right,
And reminding myself of anything too, right?
hey, and it's a powerful representation, man. I just want to appreciate you again, on the platform and for the record, man, for speaking to my daughter. As
Oh, yeah.
as I could promise you, man, the words that you gave her on her journey, soon to be following in some of those footsteps that you've already been down. it meant a lot to her. And I know she's going to channel and plug you, man, as she moves on in that
Absolutely.
journey.
Yeah,
So
Tim, I say for anybody else, I know later on we'll be sharing kind of point and kind of information.
right.
Any veteran, anybody who is listening out here to this light bulb moment, if you are kind of trying to pursue the higher education and you have doubts, call me. I've had plenty of my Marines who tell me, oh, hey, my son, hey, Dr. Milton, I don't know if I can. I said, no, I don't want to hear. We're going to talk.
That's
We're
right.
gonna make a plan. You know, it may not be all the way to this thing, but doing something, you know,
That's
sort of
right.
interested.
That's right. That's right, man. So man, that means a lot, man. And just the fact that you're willing to reach back, the fact that hey, you ascended to that level, but you still want to tap back into individuals that came behind you to see them grow and achieve, man. That's the light bulb lesson, bro.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, man. It really is. So I heard you say a town called Folkestone.
Yeah,
That's where you originally from, Doctor.
Yes, yes. So I was born and raised. So my mother originally was out from Hollywood, you know, kind of Hollywood, Florida area. So we had some people down there, but eventually she had moved up to Folkestone, right? And, you know, married and stuff like that. So
right.
I was born and raised for all my time.
Yep.
In Folkestone, right? And so within that little small town, as you can see, Folkestone can produce some great men, right? Like I said, with Stu.
Oh,
right?
yeah, man.
Education, all that stuff, right? And so, you know, during those times, and we came up from that rural South, and a lot of times what most people do when they came there, especially from my experience, is either they play football or some kind of sports, or they join the military to get out of that area. And I knew for myself that at some point when I was like 11th grade or whatever like that, I knew I had to get out that town. And for this reason, is not that the town was specifically doing something. I knew about growth and development, right?
Right.
So anybody who's watching this, sometimes if you feel like if you're stuck or you want to do more, sometimes just getting out that immediate area. Don't get me wrong, I mean, some plenty of successful people in Folkestone and doing their things, but I knew for me that I wanted to go right. So this all an individual quest. So for me, I knew that I needed to get out, and you know, I felt like, you know, for many of my friends, they went that sports route, but I knew for me that getting an educational route through the military, using the GI Bill and all that, it really set me up. I mean, when you look at it from that time, from while being in the military, I was able to get my bachelor's, get my master's, right? You know, I finished off the tail ends of my doctorate, able to travel the world, get my family, live comfortably now, you know, and things like that, right? And so it's almost like doing like how you talk on, is like they say, some people, they go in there, you know, work the military for yourself.
That's right.
Right? So no matter what your MOS specialty was, right, you have this game plan. So if you're doing one kind of job, whatever that is, you still can get a degree in something else that you're really pursuing. So right, I was in communications.
Yeah, man.
I was a communications chief. I did all that stuff. But I knew I didn't want to do that when I got out.
That's right.
I did it for 23 plus years.
That's
right. I didn't want to, that wasn't where my passion was. You know how we do, room where you're playing it. As a Marine,
that's right.
I'm gonna do the job. But I knew I wanted more. So with that, I started pursuing my degree. You know, that bachelor's when I was a staff sergeant. You know, got the master's right before I got out of the Marine Corps. You know, while I was a master sergeant, and then when I got out you know, the zone was coming up for E9 for Master Gunnery Sergeant, and it was a hard decision. I had to turn down, you know, I had to tell back the board and say, don't look at me because I need to get out to finish this doctorate.
That's right.
That was a hard decision, but, you know, looking at the stuff for me.
Man, you made the right decision, bro, 100%. You know, and you've carried on the legacy of impacting, man. You're still impacting, dog. I know when a young student comes in your presence, I know you're giving them a wide range of knowledge, wisdom, and hoping that they have that understanding to be able to take that and move in the direction in which I know your passion is for them to go, man. And I'm just so blessed, man, to be here with you in this space, man. Like, you got to understand, man, like it's you said something very key, Dr. Milton. You said, I have my job, but at the same time, I know it's going to end. You
Yes.
know,
Right,
yeah, bro. I've had some brothers on here. Maybe some brothers you even know. You know, Sergeant-Major Jeffrey Young and some of the other cats, and it's amazing. Being in a space as this, man, and just to hear the different elements of those same aspects. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but from your perspective, you know, I get it, man. Like, yeah, it's a tough decision because you've given 20 some odd years to the Corps.
Yeah, that was hard. Man,
Right.
hard.
And you're right there at that pinnacle of E9 master guns, but you I'm sure you had that proper discernment, prayed, asked the Lord, man, give me that right direction. And now here you are, man. It's such a blessing.
I had to talk to family, I give it all, to my wife and all that, just kind of talking because, it wasn't just my future, it was my family.
That's right.
As well, right? And then during that time, by getting out, I had to take a reduction of pay to do the residency.
Yes.
But thank goodness I had the retirement and all the benefits.
That's right.
Offset, so that that year or so, we managed.
Right.
And stuff like that, right? But I got to give it to my family for supporting me where I did that. So now we can reap the benefits, the continued benefits now for my family and for others, right? And like I said, that decision, man, I go back when I tell people that was like the toughest decision because, like you said, I'm seeing it right there. But then I also knew that in the future about where's my passion, what did I want to do? Marine Corps had been wonderful to me. Like I have most things, they have the ups and downs and all that. But I always had a clear focus on that. I knew I wanted to get my doctorate and be a psychologist. So I just, I made that decision.
Man, dog. I love psychology, man. I think psychology, just is just Clay's rendition of it. But psychology is in everything that we do, man.
Yes.
The psychological aspects, man, of sometimes the conversations I have with different people, man, it's so raw, but yet and still, it's like, man, it's like a puzzle. And when you start to see some of those puzzle pieces coming together, it's a beautiful thing, man. So mental health, man, let's segue to that, man. Like, why did you decide to go into the practice that you're currently in of psychology? I mean, what was it for you personally?
So for me personally, like I mentioned, is one of these things was, like we said, is that at that offset of the Gulf War and as veterans were coming back and seeing on television and some of this other stuff that people was going through things. So, one simple answer is about like having this desire to support veterans, right? Because we know that sometimes there's delays in these systems. I'm dealing with a veteran right now that I'm trying to connect up with the VA because, getting them for my college counseling to get them long-term stuff, because a lot of times veterans get out and even though they do those transitional programs, it's because of whatever was going on, they need to be reminded to seek the stuff. We know they're getting the training, but a lot of times it is these light bulb moments, these stuff where people are telling them, hey, you have resources. Let's remind you, right? Because we know how a lot of times what happens with veterans or anything, right? Think about that when you're talking about, I love how you talked about behaviors. Imagine this, right? Most veterans and stuff, before they get out, when they go to a new duty station, right? They have induct. People take them in, joint reception centers and all this stuff. The process, right?
Right.
Then we know when we get out into the civilian world, there's not that one thing that's saying, hey, go here for this.
That's right.
Go here for that. Right.
That's
go
right.
Here. So sometimes this stuff is that not knowing that initial thing about where to go. Yeah, people can make a lot of the websites and say all this other stuff, but it was always those mentors or those people or that corporal or that lance corporal or that sergeant is something that initially helped them, whatever they kind of equivalent rank. And I think like stuff like you're doing here, stuff I do with kind of nonprofits and all that, to remind people, hey, there is somebody that can help remind you to get there. Right? So when some of these things about why did I go into mental health, is that how you blend in. Is there was one time I started learning about my identity, about who am I, right? I think we all go through that talk.
Yeah. Yes.
Before, for me, I would always have what we call like, my spirituality kind of hat, because I was raised up with my great grandmother. She was religious, so I grew up in the church.
Right, right, right.
It was
Me
always,
too.
right?
Me too.
So, yeah, right. So you know that routine, right? So I had my spirituality kind of hat about how I transverse the world. Then I had
Yes.
my martial art hat, right? Because I love martial
Mm.
arts. We're doing that for
Yeah,
years, right? And then I had my Marine hat,
that's right.
right? And stuff like that, right? So I wore these many different hats that, depending on who I was around, I would. That's when I put that hat on to address. So to a
Hmm.
different location, I might would have put on my military hat as I was talking to you, or
Right.
I may switch to the spirituality hat. But at some point through mental health training, I started learning that all these identities intersected for me. It's
Right.
all the same person. I don't have to go and try to change out. And I
Right.
think sometimes we do go on this thing where when we're in front of people, we put on these different hats, like being
Yes.
our true transparent self. And I think of some
Yes.
of that stuff with some of the kids. And what I'm loving about here is that you are showing them, you giving them a great model about just being yourself, right?
Be yourself.
Your military
Right.
career and all this stuff is just one part of the whole identity.
Man, dog, that's powerful, dog. That's so powerful, man. You're right, man. I'm sitting here as you're saying it, Dr. Milton. I'm like, every duty station I went to, there was somebody standing there with their hand out saying, "Hey, come on, we got you."
Yes.
Until that last transition.
Yeah.
It was people, such as Ross and such as, my wife, the
Yeah.
people
Right.
that been there since day one that extended that hand out and said, "Hey, come here." Excuse me.
Mhm.
The VA's been good to me, man.
Yes. Right.
The VA's been good to me. We heard a lot of horror stories about, the Atlanta VA is the most horrible across the nation, but
Yeah.
it hasn't been that. They have really showed that what I like to say acumen of care, bro. Like
Yeah.
they care, man. Every time me and my wife go to a different appointment, handling our business, man, people really care, and that means a lot. So
Tim, and what you're speaking to is, I hope in the future when you're talking on and maybe getting some VA guests and all that, is, we have this kind of disconnect out here where we have veterans, right, that need to learn more about the system where they can get in, and then you got a VA system that sometimes there's some places that may be backed up. It's not perfect, right? But we know
right,
how with veteran mindset, it's like
right,
everything sucks, right?
right.
Everything sucks. I can't get connected. If it doesn't happen within 3 seconds, I mean, the system
That's
is
true.
broken, right? But I do know that for you and I, because I will admit, because of our life experience within the military,
Right.
we kind of learn those resiliency factors about how to navigate. And
Yes.
sometimes when I'm talking with veterans, when they come in to see me, it's about helping them have that growth mindset, that
Right.
resiliency, right? Like you said, these light bulb things, they're saying like, I know this is rough, but I got to keep pushing on it, because in the end, we know for most of these veterans and all that, once they get in that system, everything's gonna back pay up, everything's gonna kind of work out. We do know that VA did things like they're learning the process. We know that some of these things wasn't perfect with Vietnam and all that, but
Right.
they grow, we grow, and all this. And so, what do we do now? So I appreciate you saying about that one.
Yeah, man. It's so true though, because that resiliency aspect of it, and again, especially, I know for me, Dr. Milton, being a drill instructor, man, it can play on the psyche, man, in a lot of different ways,
Let's
because
talk to what y'all did out there, man. That's a lot.
it's a lot, man. And we got so used to that timepiece, man. Everything being so dialed in on that schedule. And I would find myself going in McDonald's, going in Walmart, and that impatience would be there. Like I literally standing in Walmart, waiting in line to go pay for my stuff. And I gotta go. But again, man, through the VA, through treatment, through therapy, I've been able to learn a lot of those things about myself, man, and really putting towards that effort to have that resiliency to understand it, man. Everything's not going to be on my time.
Yeah, right.
Everything's not going to be exactly how I want it to be. But like you said, staying persistent is most of the battle.
Tim, like as you're saying on that, kind of speaking to all my B-billet individuals and all this other stuff who did some of those things, right? Even with the military. One thing I teach some of the veterans I'm working with is that everything in those initial times had a purpose.
Right.
You went through those trainings and all that. They had a purpose, right? So we don't want to dispel that stuff. It's just knowing about how you and I talking about resiliency and adapting. Right?
Yes.
When we went to new duty stations, when we got deployed overseas, we would get in-docs about how to deal with those environments.
That's right.
This transition back, like when I teach veterans about transitioning back to college, say that's a college got a whole culture in itself. Coming back home, you got to be introducing the culture. But we've already learned that, right? Because sometimes veterans forget about, they learn about some of the negative things that kind of happen, but also about the strengths that what the military brought to them.
That's right.
About family, about team, about connection, about kind of thinking outside the box, about maturity, right? So, it's a balance. So kind of saying about those things had a purpose. Now we're going to use those strengths from those things to continue on, because there's plenty of stuff as a drill instructor and all that made you the wonderful individual that you are, that how you kind of connect and transfer.
Right.
Even this podcast going, right? Those skills are coming in.
That's true, man. Them skills is it, man. What do you think, Dr. Milton, about isolation, man? Veterans isolating once they transition out, whether it's 4 years after retiring. What do you think about, combating that isolation?
Yeah, so let me tell this one here, too. Let me be perfectly clear. Hey, for any veterans that are listening out here now, if you are isolating, it's going to take you to a dark place.
Ooh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's going to take you, right? Because what happens, let me do it, because it's funny here soon, I'm going to be giving a workshop here shortly on depression. And one of the things we have to learn about, behaviors and habits influence mental health mood. I say again, certain behaviors and habits influence mood. So one of the main symptoms of depression, and I say symptoms here, I hope people hear me, that one of the main symptoms is isolation. Okay. So we know with depression and stuff like that, right? People want to isolate, right? They won't eat, low energy, difficulty concentrating, and things like that, right? And won't want to get out of bed, or don't want to be motivated to go take that next step on their stuff. So when they isolate from others, they don't hear some of these things. And then in their brain, they start telling them nobody cares.
That's right. That's right. So true, man. That
is the depressive symptoms talking. And I hope people noticing that I'm separating symptoms from kind of the person. Because when you get hurt or sick and stuff like that, so right now, if I hurt my knee, I'm not gonna go say I'm a broke knee, I'm a hurt knee. Or I'm not gonna say I am a cold.
That's right.
Or I am flu. But we have put that I am on us when it comes to mental health. No, I want people to stop that. I want people to have this thing where we're gonna focus on symptoms. I suffer from depression.
That's right.
And things like that, right? Meaning that with a mental health professional can help them go here and get the treatment, so that way a mental professional like me, we can work on symptom reduction and treating the depression. So that's how I like to think of it. So, but definitely, if nobody hear me clearly now, hey, let's get away from the isolation. And there's plenty of sites and stuff like that where you can talk to people if you're feeling isolated.
Man, Dr. Milton. Hey, I'm an avid note taker, dog. I'm over here.
Okay, yeah, right.
Hey, y'all see this out here? I got a pencil and I'm taking my notes, man, because
that was one of those moments, huh?
Hey, that's light bulb all day right there, man. Because man, you said it. I am a code.
Yeah.
I am, well, Dr. Milton, what about me saying I am tired? That's different though, right?
Yeah, that's different, right? Because we all get tired, right? But those things that we're talking about, those illnesses,
yes.
I don't even like to use that term, mental illness, right?
Right.
I like to say people suffer from certain kind of conditions.
Yes.
And stuff like that, right? Because labeling is so thing, right? Labeling is why a lot of veterans don't go out there and seek support. Right? Because they're feeling like that some of this stuff is going to be long lasting. And don't get me wrong, there are some diagnosable things that happen in mental health, right? That can be lifelong, right? If somebody is suffering from bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or whatever kind of things like that, right? Those things can be lifelong, but with treatment, it can be manageable, right, to the best that they can. But things like anxiety, things like depression, we have the research to show that it can be treated, right? Or at least mitigated. Because I wish I could wave a wand and say that we're never going to feel sadness or feel anxiety, but that's not the world. Right. We got to have that reality to know that on some of these things, our mindset, our habits. So for anybody looking at that and they feel like they haven't got out, hey, use those calls. You heard Tim talk about it today, about that, hey, getting that mental health.
That's right.
You see, we are talking, we
That's
get
right.
mental health.
Yes.
It helps, right?
It does. It's real therapy.
Right.
Yes.
You know, that therapy, right? And so it happens out. So just like how we know we want to practice up on other kind of stuff, we want to get an education, we go to others.
That's right.
Just give me that.
You good?
We do all that stuff like that, right? When we get hurt, we go seek stuff. But then with mental health, we feeling like, what is that? It's something like some people think just because it's in the mind, it must be true. But you already know, like when we talk to a therapist, we learn, hey, our mind sometimes doesn't always tell us, you know, the best kind of things, right? Meaning that it's not trying to trick us, it's that that's all it knows. If you came from a household when you was growing up where there wasn't a lot of love or connection and stuff like that, so you're gonna think that's how the rest of the world is.
Right.
Until you come into my office and I potentially challenge you on that.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear you about the stuff that went on with family, but what about now?
What about now?
In this room? What about in this room right now? Right. So but it's fine, right? So sometimes it's just an awakening about us.
Come on, bro. Hey, man. Hey, I know you got to run at the top of the hour. Hey, we're gonna close it out. Man, we will continue to build Dr. Abram Milton.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2 or 3, right?
Lord have mercy, dog. We will continue to build, man, because this right here, this is it, dog. Like, and I appreciate you so much for just stopping by. Hey, bro, you came through, gave the assist. Hey, it don't need to be long and drawn out. Hey, I got my notes. If y'all didn't get your notes out there, hey man, you sleepwalking. I'm telling you. And that can be diagnosed too, and that can be, you know, worked on as well. But hey, man, you said labeling is why vets don't get help.
Yes.
Man, dog, that's so powerful, dog.
Absolutely.
Golly, bro.
Yeah, Tim, like I said, really, it really does warm my. Now, I mean it seriously. Warm my heart that you are doing stuff like this to talk on this, to be, because you know, like you seen it in the Marine Corps. How do we help people with leadership from the front, where they can see relatable people? You remember how that one time,
right?
When I think that was like what 2010, 2012, and all that, when we started having these conversations more, and they started asking some of us senior leaders to be more vulnerable and to speak, and it showed that. And so even now, where people who respect and love you and started seeing you having these talks and all that, is giving somebody hope. Right?
Come on, man.
You're saving lives. I'm telling you, I know that somebody is going to be watching and listening on this and probably didn't think about it, but heard us talking about our vulnerability, about the importance of mental health, and saying, you know what, let me give it a try. And it may not be perfect that first time.
Right.
You may not have the right person. You can't find the right person. Have them, you know, like I say, reach out to me where I can help them find the right person. You know,
that's right.
Hey, I love my brothers and sisters in the service.
Right.
Whatever we can do, but thank you, kind of, and like I said, I look forward that when we can collaborate more on whatever topic you want to talk on mental health specifically.
Man, thank you so much. Hey, we got so much love for you, Dr. Abram Milton, man. Thank you, bro. Like, hey, I'm renewed right now, and like you said, man, this is real therapy, bro. And hey, man, you brought that heat today. I'm so grateful. I pray that someone out there who sees this, like great Dr. Milton said, man, hit us up, man. Don't be afraid to reach out. Hey, my number is 770-383-1967. You call that number, hey, we're gonna be there, man. Also, T.O. Clay Light Bulb Lessons, T.O. Clay at lightbulblessons.com. And if you would, Dr. Abram, if you could just give them if they could reach out to you, we appreciate that, man.
Yes. So for any veteran who wants to reach out to me, hey, my number 760-813-1433. Let me know that, hey, you saw me on Light Bulb Lessons and you need somebody to talk to and need some help to get connected. I also kind of work with this one app. It's called the Battle Buddies app. Right?
Okay.
So yeah, it's Battle, BATTLE BUDDIES.app. That's the Instagram, and I can put it in the chat real quick before I go as well. and you know, Tim can give it to y'all later on. Hey,
Absolutely.
when you find that app, that's some of my fellow mentors. I'm the clinical supervisor for this veteran little group, right? These are just veteran men. These are not mental health offenders. These are just veterans that care. And if you are at nighttime and you having problems and you need to reach out, you can download that app and talk to one of the mentors. And if they get stuck on the issue, they'll reach out to me. We're gonna get you connected or work the best way we can to find whatever resources with nationwide or whatever stuff like that, right? So I'm gonna put this in the chat right here. Better buddy, right? All right. So yeah, so that'll be you can look that up, Battle Buddies app. And then yeah, that's just one way where you can connect. And then for most of the veterans y'all know out here, you got that suicide crisis hotline 988. You can call that. They got a veteran thing. As soon as you press 1, where you can connect to the veteran side of the house. There's many different VA resources. If you don't know, just put in the VA and suicide. I guarantee you,
it's gonna pop up. That's
it's
right.
Gonna pop up, right? So don't worry about trying to guess, but just reach out to somebody, right? Like they say with suicide and stuff like that, having thoughts of suicide, right? That is a permanent solution to a temporary thing that's going on in your life, right? You know, that's temporary. You're thinking that there's no other way. There's a way we can try to help out, right? So that to my heart, just the other day, I had a veteran I was talking with, and you know, I know I got to go, but you got me kind of talking because it moved me. There was this I just had a veteran the other day, was about to end his life by suicide, right? And you know, just talking to us because he trusted me, and that's what I'm talking about, veteran talking to veteran. I said, hey, do you trust me? You know, you trust me, Devil Dog.
Yeah, man.
Right? And it was from that we were able to get him help.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
You know, and stuff like that, right? And it continues, you know, and it just doesn't stop, because after that, there's a continuous thing and now to kind of work, right? But just like Tim, how you know those calls you get.
Yeah, man.
Right? So but yeah, like I said, I appreciate you, because I got to go here and teach my one class, but I definitely, please reach out. Y'all got my number. You got that Instagram page. Please download that app and let's do great work.
Hey, man. Hey, for y'all out there checking us out, man. Hey, we love y'all. Much love to y'all, man. Hey, subscribe, click, share this, get that information spread as wide as possible. It's not about me. It's not about Dr. Milton. It's about infusing and helping veterans, man. Veterans, hey, we here. And Dr. Milton, we love you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much, man. And big blessings.
Look forward to connecting in the future.
Yeah, man.
For you and Ross, whatever y'all know it, whatever y'all need, as long as, you know, I'll try to flip my schedule. I know how I get. You know, I just did some stuff with Uganda last week. You know, stuff. Yeah, like man. Whatever I can do. Hey, okay. Whatever I can do for y'all.
Hey, man, thank you so much. And again, we'll be back in touch. And as we always love to say, y'all out there, peace.
Peace.